The first question comes from Kalamazoo. What would be your agenda for your first 90 days in office if given a majority in both houses, but also if the houses were split as they are today?
My agenda is no different if it's all Democrats, all Republicans, or split. My agenda is to make Michigan the #1 place in the country to do business. Because if you want jobs, then you have to love business. In Lansing, we've laid out the red carpet. We've laid out the red carpet for business instead of the red tape. That's what Michigan has to do. I hear about this new industry, old industry, green jobs. You know, some people say forget about manufacturing, it's the green jobs. And I want it all. I want the green jobs and I want the greasy jobs. I'm not giving up on the greasy jobs, and I'm going to get the green jobs. Iowa has determined that they're going to be #1 state in the country for wind. And you know what? They got a plan to do it, and they're doing it. And they're even stealing some of our businesses. We're only meeting, as a nation, we're only matching 10% of the need. We're matching 10% of the need of the demand for wind turbines. 90% of it's coming from overseas. There was an article the other day, I posted it on my website, that 80% of the stimulus money for wind turbines is going overseas. Now that's nonsense. That's ridiculous. And if you think that doesn't affect you, of course you know better. If 80% of stimulus for anything, 80% of the stimulus for the cash for clunkers went overseas. What kind of nonsense is this? We've got to stand up for American workers. It matters. So it's not about Democrat or Republican. It's about Michigan workers. Do you want Michigan people making money, working? Of course, because then they'll be buying homes. They'll be buying cars. They'll be buying the things that improve our economy. We've got to put Michigan people back to work. And everything we look at, every piece of legislation, every initiative, every proposal has got to be looked at from a standpoint of does it put Michigan people back to work? Does it mean Americans working? When the Japanese passed cash for clunkers, they excluded American cars. You know, I don't beat up on the Japanese government. They're looking out for Japanese workers. The Korean government, they put Korean workers first. They don't worry about American workers. That's our job. We better start standing up for American workers, and I'll be standing up for Michigan workers first, last, and always.
Next question. And this comes, actually I'm not sure where this comes from, but I do understand where it comes from a logical perspective. Because I actually worked with your economic development director, Bob Trezise, back when I was at the MEDC, and I know we struggled often in trying to compete with other states on this issue. Michigan has in excess of 2,000 taxing jurisdictions across the state. What is your position on consolidation of municipal governments and municipal services?
Well, we don't have enough time for me to answer that question like I'd like. Let's just say I'm 100% for it. We have 83 counties. We have 550 school districts. It's ridiculous. We have way too many municipalities. Look, I mean, just in this area, you got Lansing, East Lansing, Lansing Township. They all have the same name. I think we should have a rule that says if you share a name, you're one. How about that? Let's start with that. I mean, don't try to tell me that you're different. I mean, oh no, we're DeWitt the Township. No, we're DeWitt the city. Sorry, you got the same name. You're one now. I mean, let's just get real. I mean, the other thing, I mean, look, if you want to pay more, if you want a prescription for vastly increased taxes, then keep your silos. Keep your parochialism. You know, keep your fiefdoms. You're going to be paying more taxes. There's just no way around it. With the home values what they are, we're all in the same boat. And so we've got to get real. People have talked about it. Nobody's done it. We will be pushing that. I mean, 83 counties, 550 school districts, it don't add up. Too many superintendents, too many deputies, too many chiefs of this and that. They're good people. These are good jobs. We have to have a plan to consolidate, or people are going to be paying vastly more taxes. I think, I'm not sure, but I think when Michiganders are offered the option of vastly increased taxes or consolidation, they may just choose consolidations.
Next question comes from Ann Arbor. How do you intend to balance the state budget and still provide an environment conducive to business and families?
Those two things are both obviously crucial. Right now, I think people are looking to leave the state in part because of these cuts to education. The cuts to education are unsustainable. That's why we have to look at now. But we just partially answered this question with the previous question. We can't go to voters, and I haven't done it in Lansing, and I believe past is prologue. I'm 45 years old. I have a record. Please look at it. So we can't go to voters and say right away, you should pay more. We've got the solution. It's you. Reach into your pockets and pay more. They're not going to accept it. They shouldn't accept it. We haven't done that in Lansing. I've cut $30 million out of the budget. I'm still delivering quality services in Lansing. Let me make it clear. We are still delivering quality, vital services in Lansing $30 million later. So it can be done. And we can do more with consolidation. We can get more bang for the buck, and we have to do that. We also need a tax system that makes sense. We're going to have to make strategic investments. I have not, in Lansing, simply implemented across-the-board cuts. Some people do that. Some people like across-the-board cuts. They call them fair. I call them ridiculous. You have to make strategic investments. There are things that should be cut or eliminated. There are other things that you might want to spend more on. So we have to be very careful about what we're doing. We have to be very hard-nosed about it. The MBT has to be addressed. It's ridiculous. The SBT was ridiculous. You got to have a predictable system that rewards work, that encourages investment, that encourages job creation. So that may mean fewer taxes in one way, more taxes in some other way. But we have to have a balanced system that encourages investment and builds jobs. Again, the decision rule will be, does it create jobs? Does it create jobs? I intend to make Michigan the #1 place in the country to do business. That means rolling out the red carpet instead of the red tape. If we want jobs, if we love labor, we must love business.
Next question is related to term limits. I think a number of people in this room perhaps thought they were a good idea at one time, but the question is, how do you propose reforming term limits that kick out legislators just as they are becoming experienced and effective?
I've really gone back and forth. I've seen this. I mean, I thought it was a disaster when it came in. It has proven disastrous. It's musical chairs over there. But now, some of the people there, richly deserve to go, too. So I won't mention any names. But, I do think term limits, the ultimate term limit is the people. And the people will have to decide on this. I can't push the people into it. I've almost come to realize, I've almost come to believe that we'd be better with a part-time legislature without term limits, that maybe if you offered people an option, maybe if you offered people the option to say, because people tend to want to still get the politicians. So if you eliminate the perks, if you do away with some of the cynical moves, like this recent thing, I mean, the cynicism, what people see is just politics as usual. Like they pass a thing that says no more lifetime health care, but the speaker at the last minute gavels on an amendment. Some reps didn't even know what they were voting for, gavels on an amendment to exclude current members. That's the kind of thing people don't appreciate. We've made cuts in Lansing. I started with my own salary. The mayor of Lansing was making $107,000, hadn't been increased in 10 years. I cut my pay $5,000 before I went to the workers and asked for concessions. I doubled what I'm paying for health care before I went to the workers. So you have more credibility that way. But when you take a do as I say and not as I do approach, that's not leadership. So we can do better, but the people have to vote on that. If I did anything, like I said, it would be to work with a group, business people, to perhaps offer something of an exchange that would extend term limits or get rid of them in exchange for a part-time legislature. And in truth, it probably is a part-time job.
Thank you. I believe we promised you 20 minutes, unless you can stay for one or two more questions.
I can take one. If you have time, I'll take one or two more.
This is somewhat of a parochial question. In fact, many states across the country, in particular California, recently passed a $10,000 tax credit for new home construction as a way to help spur and stimulate the economy there. Would you support similar types of efforts in Michigan to stimulate our industry?
I would consider it, and the thing I've talked with home builders about is the notion of some tax relief for homes that they build before they're occupied. That to me, I'm not saying we can make it tax-free because there are some services that are extended out there, but it's not like full services, police, fire, and so on. So hopefully that would help. I look forward to working with you. I've had great dealings with you all in the past. Have appreciated your support and look forward to working with you to continue to spur economic growth and prosperity in Michigan. I think we can get there.
Question from Southeast Michigan. How would you balance the budget? This is somewhat to an earlier question, but when the legislature does not appear to want to cut spending, how would you as governor balance the budget?
We will be rolling out a jobs plan and a budget plan in the course of the campaign. It will not be easy. There will be sacrifice all around. We have to get rid of conventional notions, I think. Fundamentally, we're going to have to change some things in Michigan. But I believe we can get there. My approach has been to work with everybody. I think we have failed in a way because of the partisan nature, the partisan gridlock that we've seen, budget debacle after budget debacle up there. It's going to be tough, regardless. Whether you have a Democrat, Republican, and regardless who it is going to be tough. But what I say is, we've tried the Republican way, we've tried the Democratic way, it's time to try the Michigan way.